Hire Away with Collins Harlan.
Welcome to Hire Away. Hire Away is a show where we talk about jobs, we talk about business, and we talk to the people that are operating those businesses and doing those jobs. So people with skin in the game. And this is, I guess, our holiday show. It's our last show before we break for the holidays. And we have a guest on today. His name is Gus Sanchez. He's our corporate trainer for the entire United States. So that's going to be fun. But just a message, if you're looking for workers, if you have hiring needs, whether it's temp to perm, direct hire, we do it all in every industry. So you go to laborfinders.com. That's www.laborfinders.com. Find the branch nearest you. Call us up. We'll help you out. So let's not take any more time. Let's talk to Gus.
Hire Away.
Gus, how are you?
I'm doing well. How you doing, Collins?
Doing great, man. So you are the corporate trainer, our corporate trainer nationwide for Labor Finders.
This is correct.
That sounds boring.
Yeah, it's absolutely just the worst, man. I gotta force myself to get out of bed every morning.
Right.
It's a wonderful experience to be able to work with all the communities that where we have offices or branches, I should say. So I love it.
So because you're not some stuffy guy in a suit. When somebody hears corporate trainer or something, that sounds like oh my gosh, he's straight laced, dots I's, cross T's, boring. But you're not that guy. What did you want to be when you were a kid?
It's funny you asked that. I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and I wanted to be a disc jockey, a radio disc jockey. And for you young people, radio is, I'm kidding. I know people understand, but I wanted to be a disc jockey was like my passion. Music was my passion, but I also wanted to be a medical examiner. So it kind of went between both of those.
There's a lot of disparity there. They don't. That's interesting. Why'd you want to be a medical examiner? I can understand the music, but medical examiner.
Honestly, it was there was a show called Quincy ME or Medical Examiner or something like that. And what it did is it tapped into this part of me that likes to figure stuff out. Mm-hmm. And just watching him on a weekly basis, find out why somebody died was.
I remember that show. That show was an awesome show. I remember the intro to that show. They had him standing by a cadaver with students all around, and the cadaver was covered up, and he was getting ready to show the students the cadaver, and they've never seen one before, a dead body, right? He pulls back the cover, and one of the students just faints and hits the floor. Yeah. It's funny. But the music thing, from what I understand, you're currently in a band now. I mean, you didn't just like music, you embraced it. You learned music. How did that happen?
I did. Honestly, quite accidentally. I tried playing what they call chordal instruments, guitar, piano, trumpet at one point, electric guitar and acoustic. And so I'd given up my hopes of being a musician based on the fact that I couldn't read music and I couldn't play a chordal instrument. When I went back to college, I had to stay for money reasons. I moved back in with my mom, and in the garage was a drum kit that belonged to my cousin. And so I said, well, I got some time after school in between work and going to school. So I set it up in my room, and it all kind of made sense to me. If you can count, I firmly believe if you can count, you can play drums. That's how I feel. Because it's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1,
Gotcha.
Or 1, 2, it's pretty simple. So about 7 weeks in, I got invited to join a band with a couple of my college classmates. And I think it was like 2 months after starting to play drums, I played my first show. And
that's really quick.
Awesome.
I was going to say, it's 7 weeks. That's pretty. You learned the drums basically in 7 weeks. Yeah,
but Collins, I'm going to be honest with you. When we all think of drums, we think Neil Peart. We think of the guy from Rush. We think of Stuart Copeland from The Police. The guys that were just incredible. When I say I just counted, 1, 2, 3, it was that. And if it was a fast song, I just had to count faster.
You just did everything faster.
Just faster. And not a lot was required of me. So I have since then become a better drummer. But when I first started out, it was pretty simple. I could keep time. I've been told on occasion that I'm the human metronome. So I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
So you joined a band.
Yeah.
And you guys started playing gigs, I'm thinking, right?
Yeah. Fantastic.
What kind of music was it, and what did you call yourselves?
Well, the first band was punk rock.
Cool.
And the name of the band was Big Sissy Brigade.
What? Say that again?
Yeah. Big Sissy Brigade. It was really what it was, a call out to, there was a gentleman in the band who played bass, and he was, even for back in the late 80s, early 90s, he liked to dress up. I'll just leave it at that. And so it was kind of a call to that. And the brigade part had a lot to do with our skateboarding, because we skateboarded as well. When you think about the Bones Brigade, and then you think about old school punk rock from Southern California, the Youth Brigade. So Big Sissy Brigade just kind of, it fell in there. We were known as BFB to most people. And it was, I'll be honest, man, it was fun, but we were not virtuosos by any stretch of the imagination, but we had a blast.
Big Sissy Brigade. Does your music survive up to now? Can we go find that?
You probably on MySpace. You could actually find 5 recordings on MySpace. That's
awesome.
We don't have anything on. Well, listen, we didn't upload anything to Spotify or Apple Music, but if you go to MySpace, look Big Sissy Brigade up, you'll see 5 songs on there, and yeah, it was tongue in cheek. A lot of it was, I would say, NC-17. A lot of the subject matter. So for you kids, make sure you ask mom for permission before you go looking for Big Sissy Brigade.
Yeah, you kids, good luck finding MySpace. Right. Well, at least we know how old it was. All right, good. So, all right. So we've got, you wanted to be a DJ. That went into music. You also wanted to go into some type of, I would say, you went to school for, what was your degree?
So my first degree was an associate's degree in criminal justice. And so I was following my dream of medical examiner, but I was doing it by way of forensics. Forensic pathology is what I wanted to get into.
Those are the 2 words I was looking for, forensic pathology. Okay. And then...
I hung in there. And then I transferred to the university, and I was more keyed in on playing music at that point than I was on continuing to chase the dream of being a medical examiner. So I dropped out my junior year of college to pursue music.
So you actually started going on tour.
We did a couple little tours. We went up to the northwestern United States. So we did really some fun stuff in Oregon and Washington, and snuck into Canada. And we didn't really have to sneak in, but it wasn't heavy touring. But it was enough where we were playing consistently, and we were having fun. And we have recorded a couple of like EPs, and it was good stuff, man. But that was my dream. Sadly, probably about 2 to 3 months after dropping out, the band disbanded. So much for my plans, right?
So the band disbanded. Was that a mutual thing, or how'd that happen?
We fired the guy that played bass for us, and we brought in the guitarist's brother, and it just wasn't the same. So we went and recorded a couple of more songs for. We were on a compilation called San Jose is Throwing Up, which was funny. And when we finished the recording, volume 1, by the way, I want to be very clear, we were on the first volume of that.
That's awesome.
When we finished recording, I just wasn't feeling it. And so I just told the guys, hey, I'm going to take a break. And it turns out we ended up just not playing ever again.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, that happened to Fleetwood Mac.
Yes.
So you're in good company. Anyway, San Jose is Throwing Up. That's fantastic. Anyway, but that's great, because that's back in the fun punk days. That was when punk was cool,
I certainly loved it, and you're right. I mean, it was like the second wave of punk. Well, some would say the third, but I would say the second wave for the Bay Area. We had the late 70s, early 80s, and then we came around in the late 80s, early 90s. So it was fun. It was, as I said, man, we weren't virtuosos. We weren't, we had people that loved what we did. and we had a good time.
Gus, there's a lot of punk bands that made it big that were not virtuosos. You know what I mean? That just wasn't but anyway. Okay. So that ended and you're not going to school anymore. What did you do next?
I got into route sales for a couple of organizations. The first one was route sales for a company called Ionics out of Massachusetts, and it was deionized resin.
What's that?
Yeah, it just cleaned up water, and the application they used it for was dual pane windows and touchless car washes. So I would go out and I would say, "Are you tired? Are you tired of getting water spots on your car? Just use our product." And you know how that goes. And because it was a route sales guy too, I also had a route where I delivered the product as well. There was these giant tanks, and they weighed about 75 pounds each, and you would just roll them into the car wash, connect all the water, and as the cars went through, they didn't have to be dried off, and that was the whole thing. Okay. You know, if you run a rental agency, for instance, they use a lot of purified water, filtered water. I shouldn't say purified. And it was good. It was a lot of fun. Did that for about 5 years. Fantastic. Wow. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that does sound like a long time to be a route salesman, really, to be honest. Yeah. But you clearly enjoyed it and found a way to find it, to make it last. So what happened? I mean, I'm trying to work towards how you got to Labor Finders, but what did you do after that?
Yeah, so after that, I got into Aramark. I know you know of Aramark, so I'll just quickly go through. Aramark, again, as a salesperson, a route sales guy, so I was delivering uniforms, and I was delivering anything you could use to run a business that, like towels and carpets or rugs, I guess, area rugs and things like that. And I did that. I was part of the union out here, and I did that about another 5 years. And then, I got to a point, Collins, you've heard me talk about this. I wasn't making a lot of smart life decisions. And what ended up happening is I left the union, and then I slowly, I just ended up being homeless, to be honest. I was homeless for about a year, and I wasn't making wise choices. And then, some of us get lucky. It's blessed, fortunate, whatever you want to call it. And I got back on my feet. And the first place I went, and this is my favorite part, because I tell anybody who'll listen, is I went to a staffing agency. Now, it wasn't Labor Finders, because wouldn't that be a rad story? It wasn't. Yeah. It was just another staffing agency. But what I remembered as I was trying to get back on my feet was the kindness of the gentleman who was the branch manager. He walked me through the process. He talked to me about what it is I will be doing, right? And because I still managed to have a car and a license, I slept in my car at local parks and hospitals. I was able to take people with me, and I was quote unquote desirable in the staffing industry. And I worked, and I did that for about 3 weeks, and then one of my buddies threw me a bone, and I got to kill bugs for the better part of the first residentially, and then commercially. And then from that, I got back into sales, commercial pest control and inspections.
Gotcha.
And and that was good. And so sales has been a part of my background for a long time. I would say I was middle of the road at best. I wasn't really driven by money, but I was driven by relationships, and I was driven by doing a good job. But I didn't have that. Those guys that love the money, man, they'll do whatever they can. They're constantly looking at their checks, how many businesses they've closed, and how many sales they've made. And I was just like, I'm going to have a conversation with some people, make sure they're happy with their service, make sure they use our service. And so I thoroughly enjoyed that. Then I got a little bit into the corporate world, working for a company called Rico as an account manager. And then from Rico, I was actually, because of my background at Rico using Salesforce, I was recruited to be a director of business development for a security company.
Okay.
And I enjoyed that. But honestly, I was just an overpaid admin for Salesforce, but I managed my team. We did pretty all right. But then I ended up getting unceremoniously dumped. And listen, they needed some cash. to open up in Colorado, and so they got rid of a couple of us that were making a decent amount of money.
They restructured basically, and you were on the short end of that.
Kind. They fired me.
Yeah,
bastards.
but
am I allowed to cuss?
No.
Jerks. Those jerks. Hey, all of a sudden I got clear. Yeah. No, I think they, ultimately they needed the money, and you're right. They restructured, but let's be honest. If you're a salesman and you're bringing in the money, and you're growing, but they were trying to grow by virtue of elimination. So we're going to eliminate a couple of positions, as you said, restructure. So
addition by subtraction. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
Well, where do limousines come into play?
Oh, it's funny that you mentioned, because I totally skipped over that. So while I was in a band, I met other musicians, and there was 8 of us. And this was between going back to work as a sales guy. There were 8 of us that decided to start a limousine company in the Bay Area. And so we bought 4 town cars, Lincoln town cars. It didn't cost a lot of money out of pocket. We rented an office, a phone service. We were 24 hours. We hit the ground running. We were making pretty good money, but 8 of us within a year dropped down to 3 of us.
Within a year,
24-hour a day up. 3 of us working. So we no longer had 8 running 24-hour shifts 7 days a week. There was 3 of us. So I was working 20 hours a day, 6 days a week, and I took Sundays to sleep.
Well, what kind of clients were you able to find? Was this just people doing parties or?
No. We did mid-level management for Apple, for Intel, IBM. Yeah. Some
big fish.
Folks, yeah. It was, well, again, it was nice. And then we get a lot of, when Intel was interviewing folks, these individuals that were doing software developers, they would bring them in for a week. And so we would be their transportation, pick them up at the airport, drop them off at the campus, pick them up, take them home, bring them back. And so it was pretty good. But, when you have 8 guys, easy to run that business. When you have 3, it was tough.
Yeah, you mentioned
I eventually sold. I eventually sold to one of the other companies, and paid my. I think my take after I sold was $8,000.
Well, at least you came out, on the positive.
I did. I didn't lose any money, and that was huge, and I enjoyed it but I didn't. I'll say this, Collins. I always think about, why didn't I parlay that into some kind of tech job? Working. I was in the Bay Area, Silicon Valley. Most of my friends were working either at Apple. Even then, if you're working in Apple, you were making a pretty decent amount of money.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I didn't. I had my own path. Anyway.
Well, I was going to say, it's things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
And the fact that you didn't parlay that into some sort of tech job, with all that exposure, you had the right clients in your transportation business to have exposure to all the right people to rub noses with, right? But even more so than the fact that didn't happen maybe points to that what you're doing now is what you're supposed to be doing, I
can't argue with that, because I really, I feel like at 47, I'm 58, about to be 59 this month. Mm-hmm. I got hired at 47. I felt like I finally found my career at 47 years old.
Let's talk about labor finders. You've had such a winding road, and you're so honest and open about all of it. And thank you for that, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome.
But let's talk about labor finders. How did that happen?
Well, I was married at the time, and my wife was working for a company called Ronstadt or Randstad. I can't remember how you say it.
Yeah.
And then she quickly went to Pro Unlimited. And these are bigger organizations, vendor management type companies, and she was happy. And it was mostly white collar placements, executives. And not only was she happy, she was, I'll be honest, she was making about 3 times more than I was making. And I thought, well, she's happy. She enjoys what she does. And I'll be honest with you, Collins, it didn't look like what she was doing was that difficult either, at her level. So I started applying for any type of staffing organization. A quick aside, and I know we kind of get up against it here, but I want you to know that when I got let go by Monument Security, I started applying for jobs as my full name is Augustine Sanchez, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was getting no bites. I had 2, 3, 4 months in. I went by Augie, which is what most of my family knows me as Augie, which is like Augustine, but shortened. And still nothing. If I did get a call from a recruiter, they'd be asking for Mrs. Angie Sanchez. Because not a lot of people, when they see the AUGIE, they immediately think Angie. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. I had read an article on LinkedIn, and it was about a gentleman in New York whose name was Jose, and he dropped the S and he went by Joe.
Wow.
And he got hired within like a week. I thought, you know what? I've been unemployed for 4 months.
Yeah.
Mind you, I'm a college graduate. I had plenty of experience, and I just couldn't figure it out. So I went with Gus, which is, my name is spelled Agustin, as if I was in Mexico. That's how my dad spells his name, Agustin. So I just went with Gus. I just took the GUS. I'm not lying. Within a week, I had 5 interviews, and within like a week after that, I got the job offer from Todd or from Labor Finders, which was just a weird.
That's wild.
And I loved it.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of a shame, really. People, because if you had to do that, there's countless others that are having to do that. But you got to find what works. So, and you found it. And
I did.
You got the interview. So you got an interview with Labor Finders.
I did. And talked to Todd, who was the VP at the time. Talked to Amit, who still works for the organization.
Todd
as the
Zemlock?
president. Say again?
Todd Zemlock?
Todd Zemlock.
Todd Zemlock. Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Todd Zemlock. Yeah, he was our boss when I got hired.
I wanted to let you know that he's actually got his own firm now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know if you knew that or not.
Yeah. Well, I stay in contact with him because he did hire me, and for the most part, I think he tried. He really was. He helped. He flew me out to Phoenix to train there for 3 days, but ultimately, you know how it is, Collins. It was go find a construction trailer and go introduce yourself. And that was and then we ate and we talked basketball the whole 3 days I was down there. But I have a lot of respect for Todd. And it pleases me that he does have his own company. And from what I see on on LinkedIn, he seems to be doing okay.
He's smiling real big in the picture. Let's just put it that way. So,
and he's lost some weight too, so he looks good.
He does look good, yeah. So I interrupted you. I'm really sorry about that. So you had an interview with Todd, and of course you had one with Amit. Maybe you can tell the people who Amit is, of course.
So Amit Singh is the president of Labor Finders, and he has had a couple of titles. COO was one of them, but I think right now he's the president over the entire organization, the franchises and the corporate owned. I could be wrong, but I think that's where we're at with him. And he's also one of the people who interviewed me, and he was one of the longest interviews I've ever had in my life. I think we talked for about 2 hours.
Wow.
And he was pretty straightforward, but after talking to him and Todd, I went over to the Sacramento branch and spoke with the assistant manager, and I thought this was a good opportunity for me. And so they offered, and I accepted.
Awesome.
And it was great.
Awesome. Yeah. So you took the job, and what was the position was, I guess, branch manager?
Yeah, so they had that weird thing for a little bit with that business development manager and operations manager.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I do.
Oh, yeah. So I was under that model, but essentially I was the de facto branch manager, and not a very good one for the first 6 months, if I can be honest with you.
Why do you say that?
Well, I had a plan, Collins. I came in with the arrogance of a guy who's been doing business for 40 plus years or whatever, and I wasn't a good listener. And so I had this plan, and what I got was humbled in a beautiful way. Humbled. And what I realized is that, well, I might have a plan. I'm going to need some help. Yeah. And so at every turn, I was making mistakes. And listen, I'll give it to Summer. She was the assistant manager or the operations manager. Like, she did the right thing. She let me flounder. She's okay, pal. You don't want to learn. You don't want to learn how to do it. Go ahead. And I got to the 6-month mark, Collins, and I didn't think I was going to last in this organization. It wasn't fun, man. It wasn't fun at all.
And at the same time, your wife is working for Randstad or however you pronounce it, and she's happy to get out of bed in the morning. She's enjoying 100%. The heck out of it. So you're thinking, what is wrong with this equation? So, but carry on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Well, and honestly, my plan really was to just use labor finders as a stepping stone into white collar staffing.
Gotcha.
That was my plan. And it seemed to coincide with, when, there's not a lot of upward mobility with our organization, labor finders. And I think as a courtesy, let me know that, that this is kind of the beginning and the end for this organization with most branch managers. And it's played out that way for the most part. And I was real straightforward. I said, okay. And then I called Todd, who was the VP, and I said, hey, listen, I'll be here for about a year, bud.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to take what I've learned and moved on. Here's the thing, Collins, and you know this very well. This business, it's a beautiful thing. And when you get to learn it and you get to see the impact you're making in the community and the people that walk in, it gets their hooks in you, man. And at the 6-month mark, I was like, I'll tell you what happened at the 6-month mark. Woke up in the morning, looked over at my wife and said, I don't think Labor Finders is for me. It was a Friday. I remember. Drove into the office, had an average day, stumbling and bumbling all over myself. And then this guy, this kid came in to get paid, and I handed him his check. And this kid had the biggest smile on his face that I've ever. He was practically dancing. He was that happy for, and listen, it was one day's pay. And it just struck me. And I thought, at that moment, I had an epiphany. And the epiphany was simply this: I'm not in this business for me. I'm in this business for that guy.
Wow. Okay.
For that gentleman. And to take it one step further, it also reflected on my journey and how I started as an associate. And man, it just all fell into place. So I had a couple of meetings with the staff. We kind of got on the same page, which was hugely important. And without getting too much into how much we make, we pretty much in a 2.5-year period, we tripled what that branch was making. It was beautiful, beautiful thing.
It's beautiful on all levels because one, you didn't start as a temporary worker, but you've had the experience of being one. You knew what it felt like to be on that other side.
Right.
2, you absolutely hated it at first.
I did. I've 100%. That's a yes.
And then it all transitioned once you could see how happy that gentleman was and how appreciative he was. It's like something changed in you. It changed you.
Yeah, it really did.
Yeah.
You painted a beautiful picture. It literally changed. It changed my attitude.
Yeah.
It turned my frown upside down. Whatever you want to say, and it's a beautiful thing because what I dropped off of the story, Collins. I did go back to school and I graduated from San Jose State University with a bachelor's in psychology.
Nice.
And so I did that because I want to help people. And in that situation, I wanted it to be in a therapeutic setting, but I also like to travel and I like to make money. And I did not have the heart to go back to 2 more years of school for my master's and then another 3,000 hours before I could even take the test to be a licensed counselor in California. So this, scratches that itch. Yeah. I'm still helping people. And I would say that the help I'm giving, the help we as an organization give, is a little bit more tangible. I'm not disparaging mental health or any of that, but I'm just saying you can see it right when it's happening.
Yeah, it's that sense of achievement, accomplishment, right? But it's direct feedback.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So we've got a little over 6 minutes left, and I've got a little bit more that I'd really like to get in. I've got a lot more I'd like to get in, but we're limited on time. So I'll say this. Let's start with this. Obviously, you being the trainer for labor finders all over the country, every new hire that I've had a chance to talk to that has signed up with your training, went through the GUS program. We'll call it the GUS program.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I like that.
Has come away with that just really excited about their experience with you. What makes you effective? How do you go through, how do you treat new hires these days? What makes you effective and what do you do?
Well, listen, I thought about this yesterday and I talked to I talked about being a cheerleader, right? And that made sense to me. But today, as I was doing some more work, what makes me effective, I got to be honest with you, I'm a personable person. So first and foremost, the other thing is I believe everybody has value. I really do. And I treat them that way, whether it's a staffing coordinator, branch manager, system manager. My job as a trainer is to try to uncover what it is that makes this person special. And then the other thing is we got to kind of simplify things. We work in a very complex environment. There's a lot going on. And also we work with people. Our product is people. It's not a battery. I'm not selling cupcakes. I'm selling a service that provides people. And listen, the next time a cupcake calls in sick, will be the first, right?
Right.
Or gives me attitude. So I think it's that. And there's the empathy piece to it and all that. And I think the other thing too is, as you know, I used to be a recruiter as well. So I recruited and trained these folks. I think they trusted me. And I think that is the foundation for any good relationship across any aspect of business.
Sure.
Whether you're a director, somebody's boss, you work under somebody, you train somebody, you work with somebody, it's about trust. And I think they have learned to trust me because I'm not blowing smoke. I tell them about the job. I'm very straightforward. And then I think that they can see, if I say I think again, I'm going to eject off this podcast myself. I'm going to be done with that. What I know, and I lost my train of thought. Nice going, Gus. Nice going. What I know that is that they see the passion.
Yeah.
They see the passion. They feel, I come in fired up. Here's another person who's going to pick up and run with changing lives. And I really feel that way. And I think that's what it is. There's the respect piece as well. But I think across the board, they trust what it is. And here's the other piece, man. You got to know your job, right? Somebody a lot smarter than me, when I took up training, I reached out to the gentleman that trained me for Rico, and I said, what advice do you have for me? And he had one piece of advice. He's all, know what the hell you're talking about. And that was it. That was it.
Sparse.
He didn't give me anything else. Yeah. He didn't push me to training. And so what I do is I'm not going to talk out of the side of my mouth. If I don't know something, I'm going to be like, I have no idea, but let me find out for you.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
Excuse me again. What I like, going back a little bit to what you said about, there's two things that strike me. One, people that train with you, they know that you've done the job that you're training them for. That's huge, right?
Right.
But two, you seem to be focused on people's strengths, because you can also focus on people's weakness. Right. And that doesn't seem to work very well. It's pointless, right? But with those two things combined, the fact that you're focused on people's strengths and you know what they're going to go through, so you know how to deliver the message in a way that they can understand it and not be overwhelmed,
right.
Which is probably a big thing too, because you're right. There's so much going on in these jobs from all different angles, and it's different every day, and if somebody hasn't done it before, wow, it's can be really overwhelming. But
you kidding?
But I honestly, every time I talk to somebody that's gone through your program, they have nothing but good things to say. And I really think just this whole conversation we've had, I'm glad we kind of did it the way we did it. It didn't start off about staffing. It started off more about just life, people's paths. And I think that, I think you walked a path that was meant for you, man. I really do. And we're so lucky to have you. We've got we are. We got just like a minute left.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to put a nice bow on it,
Well, thank you. And we're lucky to have you too, Collins. You and I, you have been instrumental. And I will take that minute to say that you, Alfonso, who runs our San Leandro office, Brian, who runs our Vallejo branch, and then someone who no longer works with our organization, you four are directly responsible for my success at Labor Finders. The ability to pick up a phone and call a Collins. Wow. All right. Should you call a Collins? And to know that I'm going to get an answer first and foremost, and your background is such that you're thoughtful in your approach, and there's no BS. And if I just followed your simple instructions for all four of you, I was going to do well. And I did that. I got the hell out of my way, man. I got the heck out of my way. Excuse me. Well, thank you, Collins. I want to take this to thank you very much.
That's very kind of you. I'm blushing, I think. No, but likewise, Gus, we've been with the company a long time, you and I. And all right, man. Well, thanks for coming on, and rock on, man.
Thank you, Collins.
What a great guest. Gus Sanchez. You can see why he's good at what he does, why he's effective. And he's just got a lot of empathy, a lot of heart. He's a hard worker, and he's a tremendous asset to our company, that's for sure. So anyway, I guess this is our holiday show. We're not going to see you again till January 13th. We're taking a break. And you want to stay tuned for the job of the week. You want to share this on your social media. That would be our ask. It would be very nice of you if you did that, like and share. But also, we still have time to talk about the News Talk STL food drive. Up until the 21st, you can still donate perishables. And I think we're up to like 700, 800 pounds of food. We're going for 1,000, folks. So they've got big red barrels where you can donate out in front of Bartolino's, Chris's Pancake and Dining, Michael's Flooring Outlet. And you can also go to the studio, the news studio in Maryland Heights. Just look up News Talk STL. And that's what I do, because they've got some pretty interesting and pretty famous people working there, like Vic Porcelli. Vic Porcelli actually does our intro. Hire Away with Collins Harlan. That's Vic Porcelli. And then Jamie Allman works there, a whole bunch of people. Even Larry Connors works there. So I would just drop food off there and bump into one of those guys and say hello. But in the meantime, happy holidays, everybody. Merry Christmas. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next year on the 13th.
Hire Away with Collins Harlan.